when the contracted energy dispels into the pattern, and that's a story. When it apparently happens, there isn't anything that knows that it's happened. It just is what there is.
But you said you're not, or there's no one.
Sorry?
You said there's no one, or
there's just what is.
Observed it,
there's just what is. You could say that there's a recognition that something has dropped away, and all that's left is what's happening. There's definitely, you could say there's definitely a recognition, but it isn't anybody that recognises it. There's a recognition that something has dropped away called me, and that everything thereafter is simply happening and nobody's doing it. But then after that recognition, there isn't somebody walking, there isn't something walking around living in that recognition, because there's just what is. There doesn't need to be. So there's an initial recognition that there never was a me, and then thereafter there is just beingness. It's perfectly natural and ordinary. We did an Irish retreat recently, and somebody rang up afterwards that this happened to, and said, "Tony, this is amazing, but it's completely ordinary." It's absolutely naturally ordinary. He said, "The only thing I can say is that I'm walking around and there's something gently giggling." You know, giggling? Oh, sorry, go on.
Me again. Because before you said they're sitting on the chair, but
well, there's knowing sitting on.
There's no knowing about sitting on the chair.
No.
But you said you're sitting on the chair, so there must be some knowing
no,
about it.
What I was trying to describe is for the individual in the story, the individual knows or is aware that they're sitting on a chair. That keeps them separate from the actual aliveness of sitting on a chair. Afterwards, there's just sitting on a chair. There's nothing that knows it. But again, I'm describing it in a way that's a story, and there isn't a story. Is there a mic?
I have a question.
Your mic's not on.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello, Anna.
When the self destructs, when it no longer is, there are certain things like astrology, human design, all these things which actually strengthen the idea of self. Is there a possibility without the self to still enjoy the idea of these things? You listen to it.
Not really, because it's bullshit. It's a bit like his theology. It no longer has any relevance. So if the whole relevance of astrology falls out of the window, then one couldn't be bothered, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's seen as a structure which the story maker makes up to feel better about being in the prison. All of those things are about how to feel better in the prison.
Yeah, but the story is connected to the body, right?
No.
No?
No. You don't need a story for there to be an apparent body. The apparent body is just something else that seems to be happening, like walls and motor cars and trees. The body is just is no thing appearing as a body. It has no relevance, it's not important.
But the body exists, right?
It only apparently exists. It appears. It's not real and it's not unreal. The difficulty for the individual is that the individual believes that everything is real, or feels that everything is real, actually feels that their body is real and is their body. Whereas actually everything that arises is both real and unreal. It's nothing body.
Because there exist these palm leaf libraries in India, right, where the old rishis have found the story for your body, which will come thousands of years later. So this is also bullshit.
Oh, it's almost as much bullshit as the honest. Quiet. It's just this. In the story, the mind or the me wants to continue, so it creates something called past lives and reincarnation, because then it can feel I'm going to live again, and I did when I was in my past life. I was a great healer. It's always a great healer. It's never a lavatory cleaner.
Untouchable. I was an untouchable, and nobody would touch
way
me.
Of keeping me going. I mean, seeking is the most powerful way to keep me going. That's why seeking is so attractive, because somewhere it's somewhere hidden away. It's absolutely known, but the seeker will never find what it longs to find. It will never will. So it's a way of continuing keeping me alive to seek, because it avoids liberation. Seeking is the most effective way to avoid liberation.
Well, I just wanted to ask that.
Yeah.
So seeking is the worst thing we can do, actually.
Well, it's not the worst thing, because there's nothing wrong in seeking. There isn't a worse or better. But it does keep the individual in the circle of the story.
Yeah. And I got another idea.
Oh, what?
Yeah. It seems like you said, well, we can't do anything, right?
No, I don't know. I'm not saying we can't do anything. It's worse than that. There is no we. There is no I.
But there is the energy, right, that will destroy the ego, that will destroy the I.
No, it won't. No.
No?
No, it won't destroy the ego. The ego, which is illusory, will just collapse.
Okay.
There isn't something out there that's going to destroy the ego.
The energy will collapse.
But apparently,
collapse.
only apparently. This is not real anyway.
So, but it seems at the moment that there is I am longing for another storm, right?
Another straw, yeah.
Right? Because it may seem that at the moment the energy is making collapse lots of eyes, right? So there seems to be some hope at the time now that this can happen.
Maybe, yeah. But the thing about that is that you won't be there to enjoy it.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
the thing that hopes for the collapse won't be there when it happens. Nobody enjoys enlightenment. Sorry.
And another question, how is it for your apparent not being to be with so many eyes around you?
It's all right because there aren't any.
There aren't any.
No, there are, that which is everything, or that which is simply beingness, can't recognise their enemies because they're illusory. What does happen is that the apparent body organism there suddenly puts its hand up and says, I'm separate. Then, out of nothing, there will come a response. But there's no recognition that there's anybody separate because there isn't anybody separate. There's no one in this room. There are no individuals in this room. It's just life.
So in normal life there is particularly no problem, right?
Only for the people who think they are real.
Right.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yes. One question, please. I try to find the right English words. What is the difference between bullshit and that it is what it is?
Well, the idea that there is what there is bullshit. Because it's just an idea. It's just, you know, I could go around saying all there is what there is. That's a concept. It's just words. It isn't this. It's words trying to describe this, so it's bullshit. Most of the things we're talking about tonight are bullshit. Because, you know, we're talking about something that you can't express.
Yeah.
But in a funny sort of way, don't forget that the individual grows up, and part of the structure of the individual is to have ideas about itself. What's happening here is that possibly some of those ideas, just through talking about it, are collapsing because they're so ridiculous. But that isn't the main thing that's going on. The most powerful thing that's going on here is silence. Energy. It's energetic. It's not what's being said.